Okay, I have absolutely no clue how I managed to disconnect a Wii remote controller that I don't actually have. My mouse is most definitely still attached to the computer I'm emulating this console on. Again, emulated motion controls aren't going to let you do anything with any real precision, which means that the periodic checks on our health as the game goes on are not really possible for me. That's probably one of the biggest reasons I'm still hoping we get a Metroid Prime 3 remake for the Switch. If and when that finally does release, I'm gonna try to find the time to record footage of me doing the little periodic checks. I'll put that in a little extra video I'll put at the end of this playlist. At least I hope I'll have that motivation at some point. Again, nothing really major, but I still kinda like that touch in the game. I suppose that all that really matters for the LP as a whole is the fact that we can control things well enough to get from beginning to end. Not that all the little side bits are available to us. Great. I'm somehow more interested in the two moons this planet has than the planet itself. And I'm sure I'm only interested in them because we aren't ever gonna go there. Whereas we're outright revisiting an area we already came from, because the level design in this game is quite the departure from the previous two Metroid Primes. And it's kind of given the iffy impression that this game is in some ways smaller than the previous two Metroid Primes, since we're revisiting a previous area so soon after frickin' leaving it. Granted, we've run across the same bits of terrain multiple times in those previous games, but that's because we spent a good amount of time in that sector of the planet before we grabbed what we needed to move on to the next area, and if we needed to revisit a place, it was either because it was a hub area that was between other areas, or we'd gained a special key that opened up a vast section of that previous area. There's just something about the flow around in Metroid Prime 3 that doesn't feel right to me, where it's still Metroid enough to feel recognizable, but off enough that it's constantly going to bother me as we keep pushing forward. Well, that poor lizard didn't even get a chance to fight back before we took him down. He just jumped close and got torn to shreds. Okay, apparently the flyers we just saw weren't the ones that swarmed together to make some kind of energy blast. Hell, I can't help wondering if we should even bother fighting the bastards on our way forward at the moment, considering it's very possible to just pass by most of them. Certainly an odd thing for me to ask, since it's not like we have to worry about running out of any resource as we fight. If anything, it's more time-wasting for me to misremember which turn we make than fighting the various enemies. And at least fighting is more entertaining, even if I haven't really felt threatened this far in. I suppose some of the earlier Metroids we've gone through set the tone in how pressured I think I should feel as we go from place to place, especially in the relative beginning of the game. And the fact that Metroid Prime 2 had some sections of unfairly insane difficulty spikes isn't helping matters. This stage of the game really isn't especially easy in comparison to the first Metroid Prime. I double-checked. That game took a very long time before things really started amping up on me. In fact, it wasn't until the fights against Ridley and the Prime Metroid when I felt truly tested.
Samus, we have discovered a Federation landing site on Brio.
I suppose that's worth interrupting us, and thankfully we're already on Brio.
We are sending the coordinates to you now.
look at that. It's in the region of the planet I've already landed on. Funny how I can forget if I should take a left or right turn, but I can remember what general area to go to when in this game. Guess I remember things better than I anticipated around here. Anyway, let's get through the nearby ice storm before starting to head to the hangar that the Aurora unit pointed us to. Right. Spend a missile to gain 5 more missiles. Not a very meaningful trade around here, but still good. Especially since it's not like that missile upgrade was behind an outright obstacle course. Probably a good idea to deal with the lizards here before we get out. Still, they don't seem to notice us, so maybe we can get away without any trouble. Part of me wants to feel disappointed the enemy didn't try to chase after us there. The other can't help wondering why I seem to be less bloodthirsty than usual in this game compared to many of the others we've LP'd on this channel. Is it because of the odd Halo-style opening in a Metroid game? Or is there something else that's making me less eager for fights around here? Hell, maybe it's just the simple fact that we've already explored this section of ground before. And it's not like the enemy composition has changed in the areas we've already explored so far, but I'm not quite at the point of wanting to fast forward through what we're doing at the moment. I'm just annoyed by how they're handling things, not outright fatigued, though I would not be surprised if we end up having to deal with me getting fatigued by the time we get to the fight against the third of the other hunters. Not that I have any clue how long it's going to take for us to fight against the second of them, much less the third. Definitely could have gotten through here without bothering to shoot at that flock. I know the doors are kind of subtle loading screens in a game that wants to avoid having explicit loading screens whenever it can, but still, it can get especially annoying if the damn things open and shut at different speeds for some reason when they all look the same. Anyway, sorry about the slightly embarrassing fall there. The emulator chose to hiccup on me on the wrong second. It's not like I could tell if it registered my button press before we dropped. Well, I suppose that's one way to open a door. Shouldn't the massive drop have been more than enough to deter people from coming through here without the golem? Hell, how do people without a morph ball mode go through there anyway? From one stone statue with a lot of alien robotics to an even larger stone statue that we're probably going to have to activate sometime soon. Guess we'll work on removing those restraints when we're done fighting against these teleporting hellhounds. Yeah, this enemy seems like it was designed entirely with the motion controls in mind, but at least it's less obnoxious than the various devices we've had to activate with motion controls. There's very little point in locking onto them since they move without warning. And to be honest, fighting these things does actually make me thankful for the game's unique camera and aiming. At the very least, it feels less forced than the pirate drones, where the one that shoots loses its shield. That one comes across as downright insulting, not an interesting way to show off the game's unique features. And that's both of them. Well, now we have the ability to activate the big guy. Not much point in doing so when the big guy has so many things tying him down right now, though. Let's get on with getting him loose. And that's the first of the things tying the big guy down destroyed. I've got to admit, it's more fun to have padding when the padding are some decent puzzles. It's still kind of blatant, but at least it's not downright painful as we get things done. Okay. So how the hell are we supposed to damage the end of that cord? And again, trying to scan a specific small, fast-moving thing when there are other scannable objects around is not going to work around here. Why did I even bother trying? It's not like I've got 100% scanning done in the other two Metroid Primes. Hell, in the section of the planet where we fought against Rundus, I remember there's this random fish that jumps out of the fuel gel periodically. It's possible to scan the fish, but all I've ever gotten was the fuel gel. Doesn't matter if I was actually using the Wii remote or emulating it somewhere. Now, I'm not saying it's outright impossible to scan absolutely everything in this game, just that it feels more troublesome to pull off than the previous two Metroid Primes. And I hope as they work on Metroid Prime 4, that they consider the mistakes of the previous three Metroid Primes, as well as their successes. And that should do it. The big guy is free to do whatever it is he's here to do. Part of me wants to laugh at the fact that the large stone robot only exists here to move a bit of glorified furniture once, then it's torment for the rest of time. But that's something we've kind of come to expect in this franchise, isn't it?
It appears that once activated, the unique phazon inside your body overreacts after several seconds.
Then it's a good thing I use hyper mode so damn sparingly.
And unknowingly, we put you in grave danger.
Did you have those kinds of sensors installed on the other three hunters you put the PED crap onto? Because I somehow doubt that Samus is the only one with enough electronics in her equipment to give the Federation the ability to monitor her condition. Hell, Core is literally more machine than man. That is literally his defining trait. I mean, sure, them occasionally contacting us about our condition is kind of a decent excuse for us to remain in contact with them, but come on. Why are they acting like they're only just learning about this crap as it happens to Samus? It feels like they should have been able to learn about it before Samus even got out of the medical chair. No. Despite having a good excuse to learn about this before the player even became active, they're acting like it's a revelation. Not a major storytelling mistake by any means here, but it's still kind of annoying to me. Huh. Was kind of expecting the other wire to burn like that earlier. I suppose I didn't properly understand if the line was connected to the first crystal I blew up over here. I'm actually kind of surprised there's been a few explosive crystals here that do absolutely nothing other than look pretty for a second. I'm just way too used to interactable objects always being important in some way or another, especially in Metroid. Jutting out corner in the side of this small hallway with nothing in it. I can't help feeling at one point in the design process they considered shoving something into that corner like a bit of lore, and for some reason decided not to when the game released.
Hostile life forms detected.
Right. Of course something's gonna show up to make things less convenient for us now that we're in the hangar we were told about. The teleporting dogs. Nothing I would call a major event, but still kind of fun. Is there going to be something else coming at us after the dogs? Or are they just here for the sake of padding things out just a little bit when we manage to get the upgrade we need for the ship in order to get the next bit of story progress that we need to get? One down. And apparently a bunch of lizards decided to join the party when I was not looking. Not that it's all that difficult for them to arrive without me noticing when teleportation is such a common thing on this planet for some reason. Again, puzzle solving feels like a better means of padding things out around here than the combat we've been seeing so far. Then I suppose I kind of gave up on it being the mostly puzzle-oriented Prince of Persia Sands of Time game some years ago. Wonder if I'd have been able to push my way through that game if I worked on it now. But regardless, this is hard to feel any real enthusiasm for since the lizards and their dogs have nothing to do with the pirates and Bazon. They are just here for the sake of slowing us down for a little bit. It doesn't help that I feel capable enough that there's little to no chance they're going to be able to kill us here. We've got too many energy tanks for them to try to chip away at, and we're healing at a pretty solid rate compared to how we've been taking damage. That and their attacks are telegraphed enough to dodge that they don't even get a chance to hit us all that often. Again, is that my fault for not choosing to play the game on hard mode? Pretty sure that hard would make things all that more, spicy and interesting. It would just make the enemies more, damage spongy. And I would probably end up having to use the hyper beam so often that it kind of damaged the main narrative to a degree. Well, this is an interesting control room, though I don't see how anyone could get in here without a morph ball mode. Ah, energy cells. Not the first time we've grabbed one in this game, but it's the first to actually count towards a slightly annoying section later on. I'll get more into it when we get there. Suffice to say that energy cells in this game are certainly less obnoxious than the keys we had to find in the other two Metroid Primes, but they still serve a similar purpose. It's all too easy to get locked out of the ending of the game because you can't find enough of them. Hopefully, when we reach that point, we won't have to worry about things slowing to a crawl like the first two Metroid Primes. Right. Bit of an obstacle course to deal with before we're allowed to bring the ship in here. Shouldn't take too long, though. Another explosion with no real purpose, but now I can't help missing the days when random things were practically made of explodium. Is it a good or bad thing that this Nintendo Wii game is making me nostalgic for a Nintendo 64 game? It's not like Metroid Prime 3 and GoldenEye have anything in common other than they're both first-person games. Well, that certainly didn't take any effort to get to the spot we needed to in order to enter the right control room, but just why does this abandoned hangar need multiple control rooms anyway? Especially since the systems that will let us install a new weapon onto our ship are going to be automated with little input from us once the ship is in position. Right, skylight open again. Just need to prepare the landing pad for actual landing now. No real point in jumping on the absolute top. I just wanted to see if I could. Doesn't seem like there's anything up here to scan.
Data received.
The game really wants us to use the ship a lot more extensively this time than any other Metroid, doesn't it? At least they don't make the ship as obnoxious as a Batmobile can end up being in Arkham Knight. Still, a bit of an annoying gimmick they shoved into the final entry of the trilogy just to try to make things feel more epic. I was honestly hoping to see something attached to our ship instead of lasers just making something form on it. Then I suppose that's how our suit gains upgrades as well. Anyway, that should about do it for this clip. Time to save. Next time, we start hitting the shield generators and actually get things rolling again.